Hi everyone, it's Kylie Sibert from Retail Alliance. Today we are joined by a very special guest to talk about self-leadership and leadership of a team. So today I'm going to introduce someone and they're going to talk a little bit about who they are, who they represent, and we'll have some great questions to ask them. So I've got some questions here on my trusty little sheet here. But Brian Owens, meet the audience of Retail Alliance.
Audience.
And Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself and who you represent.
Yeah, sure. My name is Brian Owens. I am a local 757 evangelist. I love this area. I started my entrepreneurial journey in music, in the creative space, not because I really loved entrepreneurship, but because someone had to figure out that side in order for us to do the creative things that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
That led into a journey into the tech world, where me and a longtime friend of mine founded a tech company based on the neuroscience of music enjoyment, based on the dopaminergic reaction that the brain has to music.
Okay. That sounds very in-depth. A little over my head. So.
It was a very in-depth process. It happened while he was getting his doctorate in neuroscience from Georgetown. Based on his thesis. I was helping him with his thesis, and that led to us starting a tech company together, which led to us eventually pitching, getting investment, hiring out a team, and then really engaging in the leadership that we'll be discussing today. Right now, I'm program manager over at Black Brand. I run B-Force Accelerator, a 12-week business development program for small businesses that are at least 2 years old. So no traditional fresh startups.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm engaged in the community in other ways as well. I'm on the mayoral advisory committee for the St. Paul's Rebuild here in Norfolk. I'm a member of the Downtown Norfolk Council. And I also have a music management firm with my partner, Christopher Toon, where we help a few young R&B artists really find their way in this music thing.
So you've been able to continue a little bit of that music.
Yeah, I can't get completely away from it. I go a little crazy if I don't at least have one toe in the music pool.
Yeah, that's great. Well, it sounds like you have no spare time. So. Gosh, that's crazy. But that's awesome too. Your face is very familiar around Hampton Roads. So.
Yeah, I make it my business to really understand what the ecosystem is doing, what the needs of the ecosystem are, how I can contribute to that, how I can add value. I'm really invested in 757 and Hampton Roads and seeing this be the best place to live, do business, learn, raise families. That's been a lifelong mission of mine.
Yeah. That's fantastic. All right, well, we're going to talk today a little bit about leadership. I mean, you've had experience in this arena. So I wanted to first talk about what does self-leadership mean to you? And why is it so important for a small business to basically, have that?
Yeah, so self-leadership is the very first leadership. Self-leadership is a requirement before you start leading other human beings. Leadership in general is about getting the outcomes out of people. We call it peopling. You have to you have to learn how to people as a verb. So therefore, self-leadership is learning yourself as a person and how to get the outcomes out of yourself.
Right.
That is incredibly important in small business for a few reasons. Number one, in the very beginning of business, the self-leadership is so important because getting a business off the ground requires so much discipline to have profits and reinvest it back in the company and to not start pulling money out as soon as you make money, to not go crazy with your ego about the CEO label now that you've started a business. And most importantly, to set the standard. The self-leadership that you have while starting your company will set the standard for every other member, employee, partner that comes later. So your self-leadership has to be stronger and just above reproach, so that and everyone else who comes in can
Sort of
follow
see
that
it.
lead. Yeah, because you can't expect anyone else who comes in to care about your business like you, to love your business like you. It's your business. So your self-leadership should be well above the standard that you expect from other people who join you in the mission.
So how does someone get that? I mean, there is programs that you can go through. Do you have any that you can suggest, or is there, how can they develop those habits that can strengthen the leadership skills?
Yeah, so step one, before you join any program, before you buy any leadership book or any self-help audio series, it starts from within. Self-leadership starts from observing your own thoughts, observing your own actions, observing your own feelings. That's how you understand how to lead others. In order to be a great leader, you have to understand people, and that starts right here. So observing why you do the things that you do, observing when you don't hit goals, why that occurred. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to hit every single goal. You just have to be objective with yourself on why that didn't happen.
Right. And learn from it too.
Absolutely, yes. Understand your own motivations, understand your own obstacles. That will allow you to lead others. So the only place that habits are formed are within.
Right.
That's it. Now, there are some outside things that you can do in order to help that. I would suggest, when it comes to developing leadership skills, joining a board, especially a board that's in your industry or industry adjacent. That will allow you to be around other leaders. And now the same observing that you did with yourself, with your own actions, now you can see that within a group dynamic. Observing group dynamics really will give you the key insights to being a great leader. And you'll notice that when you're observing group dynamics objectively, you'll notice that you can tell who the leader is in the group, regardless of what the title is. Everybody has been in a situation where somebody has the title of leadership, somebody is the manager or the supervisor. But really, when it comes to this group dynamic, this person over here is who everyone is looking at. We've all worked at a company where people are like, oh, if you leave, I'm not staying here. So leadership really is about who is stepping up with the character, competence, and commitment. And it's not always related to the title. So if you take the time to step back and observe, that is absolutely the best way to develop the self-leadership knowledge and then start putting that into practice.
And I would suggest too, just, take note of the things that you do see that you like and respect from those leaders so you can implement it. Because, I don't always remember everything that I see, so I would say just capture that somehow so that you can take that on board in your own leadership.
I would take it even a step further. I would say take note of the things that you like and respect, and take note of the things that you don't respect and you don't like. My father always told me that everyone is a role model for you. Everyone is a role model. They're either showing you what to do or showing you what not to do. So that's what I really mean by observing. Really stepping back and observing and taking note.
Yeah. Now, as a business owner, you've dealt with so many of them, and they wear multiple hats, as we know. So how can they stay grounded and lead effectively with so much pressure and so many things going on?
Yeah, for leaders, in order to stay grounded and lead effectively, even under pressure, to me, it's all about keeping the big picture context. No matter what is happening, your big picture, that is your North Star. That is the guide. And that is more important than the moment of frustration you're feeling. That is more important than a letter that you're getting about a deadline. big picture. If you stay focused on that, you will remain grounded. So if you have the big picture in mind when you're leading a team, you will be able to remove ego and sweep if you have to. And help the team by sweeping or hopping on the grill or stocking shelves. Or you'll be able to tell the team, hey, I need to go close this contract right now. I need you guys to take care of this. Even though we're in an overwhelming situation, I'm going to go out there and work for us. I need you all to hold it down. I'm going to go talk to an investor or close the contract or whatever it is. If you have the big picture in mind, you'll be able to make those decisions on when it's time to grab a broom and help the team or when it's time to let the team work and you go hunt and bring back the meat for everyone.
Do you suggest sharing that big picture, that end goal with your team so they have an idea of why you're doing it?
I suggest not hiding it.
Okay.
Don't hide it from your team, but I don't think it's, and this is maybe controversial, but I don't think it's that important for everyone on your team to have the big picture top of mind.
Okay.
That's your job as the leader
Right.
to have that big picture top of mind. That's your responsibility. That's the sacrifice that you make, is to carry the weight of the big picture.
Right.
Now, if they are interested in the big picture or you talk about it at the group meeting at the top of the month, that's fine. But it's really their job to carry out their duty. Whatever their position is, that's where their focus should be. Their focus shouldn't be on the strain of the big picture.
Okay.
Now, some people are motivated by that, and this is where it comes
Yeah.
to observing people,
Right.
understanding that Kevin is motivated by the big picture, so I'm going to keep that in mind while
Someone else is motivated by money or
exactly,
something.
or just getting their one job done. My job is
That
to turn this cog,
satisfaction.
and this is what satisfies me. You don't need to burden them with the big picture,
Right.
but you really need to be curious about people. And I think that curiosity is one of the most valuable talents in entrepreneurship or small business. Curiosity will lead to new customers. Curiosity will lead to new marketing techniques, and curiosity will lead you to understanding your people and get the best outcome out of them.
Yeah. Okay. So from your perspective and your experience, what would you say are the key qualities of a strong team leader in a small business?
Yeah, so accountability, top. Accountability, number one. Never being afraid to point out when something is your fault or something is on
Taking
you.
that responsibility.
That builds trust within the team. That not only allows your team to view you as a serious leader, but that allows the team to understand that if you're going to hold yourself accountable out loud in front of the group, then everyone will be held accountable out loud in front of the group. Everyone here is accountable, and you know that because the team leader is accountable in front of everyone. So
Right.
accountability by far number one.
Okay.
Number two, empathy. And I don't mean empathy in terms of compassion. A lot of people think that empathy means compassion, but that's not actually what empathy means. Empathy just means understanding the perspective of somebody else, being able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes.
Right.
People hear empathy and they think Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was very empathetic, but so is the con man who is manipulating people out of millions of dollars because they understand that other person and what they have to say to con them out of money.
Right.
So empathy doesn't necessarily mean a positive or negative. It is just a skill, knowledge. Empathy is huge when it comes to getting the best outcomes out of people, creating the environment for your employees to thrive. Empathy is important for empowering your team. If you know what makes someone feel empowered, if you can put yourself in their shoes and knowing where they come from and what their goals are. If I was in that position, what would make me feel empowered in this moment? Yeah. So empathy is a huge one. I think that's huge in business all around, and even in sales. And I feel like leadership is a sales job. I feel like leadership is I have to sell you the system. You have to buy in to this system in order for us to be a cohesive team. So I have to sell you on that concept. Sometimes you have to sell people on the concept of teamwork and like lowering their ego to work within the team. Sometimes you have to sell people themselves. If your team, if you're someone on your team has low self-esteem, now I'm selling you on you. I'm selling you on why you are the person who's going to do this. Yeah, absolutely. So empathy, accountability, and sales. This is really a sales job. You have to sell the vision and you have to sell each individual team member on what's going to get the greatest outcome out of them.
How do you build that trust and the accountability within your team? Have you had that experience? And what have you learned, I suppose, from the past? And what have you, what do you foresee as the best ideal structure?
So like I said before, number one, start accountability with yourself. Do it publicly in front of the team. I always believe that the leader is accountable no matter what type of leader we're talking about. If we're watching a sports game and one of the athletes has a bad attitude and is yelling at the refs and going crazy, some people look at that and be like, see, this is why athletes, we've overpaid them and over-egoed them and all that. And I look at that situation and say, that's bad leadership. That's a bad coach. Because
it comes from somewhere.
Because it comes from somewhere. And even if it didn't come directly from you, you allowed that person onto the court. You allowed that person onto the field. That was a leadership decision. One of my good friends and a great leader in this area, Rashad Corbin Lee, always says, leadership is the problem, leadership is the solution. No matter what you're seeing within the company, a leader either allowed that or created the environment for that to happen.
Yeah.
But in that same token, a leader can create an environment where you are getting the outcomes that you want. So in order to foster accountability and trust, number one, accountability of self. Being a good leader is more important than being right.
Okay.
Understanding and internalizing that. Secondly, consistency. Consistency is how you build trust anywhere. Why do we trust that the sun is going to come up tomorrow? Because we've seen thousands of sunrises in our life and it always comes up in the morning. If you are consistent every day, then people will just assume this is what it is. Right. And they will trust it. They won't have to
trust. I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah. They won't even have to believe in it. Like, oh, I really believe. No, this is how he is. He is going to deliver the system. I've worked with him for years. This is what we don't have to believe in it. He's going to show up and deliver the system. Right. So consistency, and then also commitment. Commitment is a huge one. If your team sees your commitment, that can inspire a team. When I was full-time entrepreneurship, even after I exited the tech company, I was doing consulting, still independent. Right. And Blair Durham of Black Brand, founder and CEO, asked me about joining the team. And my first thoughts were, I've worked so hard to get away from W-2 life. W-2 life could never have me back. But it was really about her commitment around the mission, her commitment and integrity that inspired me to say, you know what, I actually do want to be a part of this. Yeah. So your commitment has to be demonstrably stronger than the rest of the team. That's how you build trust and accountability. And by the way, for those people in the audience that are thinking commitment is something that's in your heart or commitment is something that's in your head, if you really think about it, no. Commitment is something that exists here in the objective world. It will show up in your behaviors. It will show up in how you show up. It'll show up in your actions. If commitment is not showing up demonstrably where we can see it in evidence, then it's not real commitment. It's a feeling or a thought. Commitment has to show itself in the objective world.
And also, I mean, if you've got a team of people, you are establishing that up front. Like you have to walk the walk.
1,000%.
Walk the talk. Never get that right.
No, you got to walk the walk. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. You have to be the one walking the walk, or else you're going to get a team that doesn't believe in you. You're going to get a team that is whispering behind your back. You're going to get a team that as soon as you leave the room, they're sitting down, they're hanging out, just riding the clock. Your commitment has to be the wind in the sails.
I always remember the leaders that I've dealt with are like, or worked with even, is, your team is also representing you.
Absolutely.
Representing your brand, your product. So you have to provide that to them so they know what to reflect from you. So yeah,
and it's hard for a team to take you seriously when you're asking something of them that you're not demonstrating yourself. That is very difficult for a team to develop respect and a culture of accountability.
Yeah. So let's talk some practical tips.
Okay.
So what are some simple, actionable steps that owners can take to improve that communication and collaboration with the team?
So some simple, actionable steps that business owners can take. Number one, to improve their communication is to, and I don't know if this is as simple for everyone as it will be for others.
I don't think anything's ever like simple, but even from your experience, what would you say? Developing
a culture of honesty will improve communication. I have had leaders that if there is a bad idea, I have to let this boat crash. I could not say the thing that you're saying is a bad idea. And then I've had leaders like Blair right now. If we're at a meeting internally, I could say, that's a bad idea, and let me tell you 3 reasons why I think that. And this will not be an argument. This will not be any type of contention. This will be a discussion. So a piece of advice that I would say is, if you have the ability, look at problems scientifically, medically, objectively, trying to remove your own bias or your feelings. And I'm not saying don't have feelings. I'm saying feel those feelings and separate that from the process of analyzing the problem or what's happening. So, creating an environment of honesty, creating an environment where your team knows that the mission is more important than not offending you is a great way.
Thinking there's going to be repercussions or something like that.
Absolutely. Like, you're undermining me because you pointed out that this idea is not going to work. If you want to be right more than you want to be successful, then go out and be right. Don't start a business. Don't run a business. Go somewhere and be the best debater on earth. Right. But if you want to run a business, then you should be focused more on the outcomes than you are on your own sensitivities or being right.
Yeah. Now, I remember working for a multinational company years ago, and there was so many hundreds of people there, but they actually created the feedback opinion boxes in every department. So even if the leader wasn't leading well, they might be doing their job well, but they might necessarily be a leader as such. But everyone was anonymously allowed to still provide their input and feedback and opinions without it being judged. That was one way to get around a bad leader, because sometimes someone is so good at their jobs, but they're not a good leader, and you don't want to lose them, So you've got to take that into account too.
Yeah, and also just because somebody is great at their job, great at a skill, great as a talent, doesn't mean that they should be promoted to be a leader. They may need to be promoted within that job role. Like, okay, you're the senior tech lead now, but that doesn't mean that they should necessarily be in charge of other people. Being in charge of other people is a separate skill. So if you're going to do that within your company, if you're going to promote, you either have to choose the people with that skill or develop that within your team. Make sure that someone who is great at their job also learns how to be great at peopling.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. So have you, or how do you handle that conflict or misalignment within a team? I mean, we talked a little bit about that, but have you experienced that yourself?
Yeah, 1,000%. I have experienced that. And really, the way that you handle conflict and misalignment within self is very likely how you're going to handle conflict and misalignment within the team.
Right.
So if you have issues with self and you ignore them, you kind of put it to the side, that's likely the kind of leader you're going to be. When it comes to conflicts and misalignment within myself, I try to analyze. That's the very first thing I'm doing. Analyze.
Self-analyze.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
What is happening, why it's happening, and try through that analysis to see how I can get to a better outcome. Same thing when it comes to misalignment with someone else. I am going to analyze why this is happening and what we can do to change that thing. Once again, you have to give up your need to be right. I have definitely been in situations where the misunderstanding was I said something, they didn't follow that thing, or they pretended to not understand what that thing was. You have an opportunity to call someone out, but rather than that, your goal is, I want the greatest outcome. Okay, I see you misunderstood that. Going forward, what can we do to make sure that you're able to A, B, C?
Right.
Always asking what help that they need. Even if you think that the problem is directly with a team member that's under you, even if you think that they are trying to oppose you, I would always start off with, how can we help you to get to this outcome? Even if it's like someone keeps on not showing up on time, right? You're consistently late. There are leaders who will choose to threaten and bark on that team member, or you can approach it and say, what's going on that's causing this? What can we do to support? And oftentimes when you take away that threat, when you take away that aggression and then say, what can we do? Take the extra step and say, what extra effort? Oftentimes that will inspire them to take accountability. You know what? This is actually not a you thing. I've actually been I've been snoozing the alarm too much, and I'm going to fix that. I'm going to take care of that. So by not trying to force accountability on people, you create an environment where it's safe for them to take accountability.
Right. Yeah, because that confrontation can, be very detrimental, I think, in some cases. So a couple more questions.
Yeah.
In terms of long-term growth, how do you think that strong leadership of yourself and your team can actually impact the sustainability and growth of the business?
I think that it is the main impactor of the sustainability and growth of the business.
It's a fundamental thing.
Absolutely. I think that it is the leader's job to create structure. And structure is what makes business scalable. If proper structure, systems, and processes are in place, business can be scalable, business can be repeatable. So I think that if you have a good leader, they are creating the environment, they are creating the structure, they are implementing the processes to create success from within the business. A great way that I've heard it put is that if you're growing a plant and that plant starts dying or that plant stops growing, you don't say, bad plant, you're not growing. You say,
I'm going to chop you down.
Yeah, you say, what is it about the environment? You're going to check the soil. You're going to check how much you're watering it, because the plant is going to grow if it's in the proper environment. And if I put you in the proper environment and motivate you, you're going to grow this business too. And that's on me as a leader. If you are not doing the thing, that's on me as a leader. I have to implement processes to empower you, Or as a leader, sometimes you have to, this is not the right space for you. And really, that is also empowering you. Because if I kept you in the wrong space, now I'm wasting years of your life when you might be great at something else. I might be stopping you from truly achieving your greatness. So even letting people go sometimes is empowering them. I know so many people who their success journeys start with, I was let go from my job and then I did this and found my passion. So you don't always have to look at empowering your team as some frilly nicety. Like, no, sometimes it's creating the environment. Sometimes it's removing them from the environment that empowers the team. And I think that is critical, absolutely mission critical to the growth of small businesses.
Yeah, okay. So last question. I feel like we've sort of talked about this too, but what resources or practices do you recommend for ongoing leadership development?
So number one, self-development. So an author that I would suggest to really help sharpen your self-observation skills and observation of others is Jiddu Krishnamurti. He has a few books that I would suggest. One is Freedom from the Known. One is On Fear. I was going to say,
send me the details and we'll put it in the link with the recording.
And he really breaks down practical strategies of how to self-observe. Sometimes it's difficult to self-observe. And his writing is so concise on how to do that you'll find yourself as you're reading, putting down the book and looking within and then like picking it back up after a few minutes.
That's self-reflection.
Also, there are a lot of free programs that are available for leadership development right here in Hampton Roads. I suggest anyone in the audience Google leadership development in Hampton Roads or free leadership development, just like off the top of my head. The Portsmouth Partnership has a good program over there at Bloom called LEFCO. LEFCO is a great leadership program. Civic is another amazing leadership program. And if you Google leadership programs in Hampton Roads, these are the ones that are going to show up. Lead, Thrive. So there's a lot. This ecosystem is actually so rich with resources. I think that there's a myth that there are not enough resources here in Hampton Roads. But the reality is that there are so many resources that you can't even get them all. You can't even utilize them all. You have to go and find the ones that are going to be a specific,
what you need.
Exactly. There's going to be a custom fit for you. There are so many endless resources in this area. So I would suggest leadership development program. I would suggest finding ways to better self-observe, including reading. There are a few authors that really nail that thing down. And also observing group dynamics as a professional student. Like sometimes we're in groups and we're hanging out and we're having fun, but I would suggest that sometimes when you're in groups, actually sit back and study the group dynamics. Who is everyone looking at? Why are they looking at
them? That's where that curiosity comes
what are they doing to gain that attention to themselves? If you do that enough time, you'll start to notice patterns. You might even be able to pick up a few power phrases that you hear across different groups and like, that person did that and that person did that. That's a tool that I'm going to put right in my pocket. Pablo Picasso said, "Great artists steal," and it's a controversial statement, but it's absolutely true. Observe what great leaders are doing and directly take that. You don't have to go $80,000 in debt to get a great education. The world is always trying to teach you if you would only learn.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you for having me.
Have you got any questions or anything you want to add?
I do want to add that when it comes to leadership in a very practical way, especially when you're leading a team, some of us are leading teams that are very passionate, right? Passionate about what we do over at Black Brand.
We have like a mission.
A mission. Not every team is like that. Sometimes you're leading a janitorial team and they are not passionate about mopping. Sometimes you're leading, right, a team for a restaurant and they are not passionate about waffles, even though you have the waffle restaurant. So you can't always rely on inspiration and passion, but you can always rely on empathy. Even though that person is not passionate about waffles, they are passionate about something. There is a reason that they applied to the job. There is a reason that they're showing up. That reason might be that they are saving up money to start their own business. That reason might be that they are taking care of their little brother because their mom passed. There is a mission within that person, even when their mission is not your mission. Right. And it's your job as a leader to find their mission. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I know we talked a lot about like passion and
a lot of things.
But sometimes your business is not that. Sometimes you're setting up teams to sell T-shirts at a kiosk. But there is still a passion there. There is still a mission there.
For something.
And if you're a great leader, you'll tap into that. Yeah, exactly, the drive. If you're a good leader, you'll be able to tap into the drive. Absolutely.
Great. No, great information.
I love that. Thank you.